In this lesson, we are going to draw a cat together. Let's go. Today we're going to be learning how to draw a cat from a photograph. Now when we start with the simple shapes first. Typically I start with the biggest shape. In this picture, I'm actually going to start with that head. I feel like it's going to tell me a little bit more information about where the rest of the body is going to go. So I'm going to start with that big head right in there. Then I see kind of a big shape in here for the body. Big oval. Next, I'm going to add that side in here, and I'm actually going to have it go right into the body. And I'm going to start with the legs next. I'm going to have one leg come out like that, and the other leg come out like that. Notice how I didn't do the paws yet, because for the paws, I want to have a big oval right there. Next, I have this leg. I'm going to find another shape right there, and finally the paw. Next, I'm going to move on to that tail. That's a fun little tail. I'm going to do that all in one shape. It's a pretty easy shape. Next, let's move on to the face. When I look at this guy, I kind of see those big cheeks right in there. An oval here and an oval here, and they touch each other. And then a chin and a nose. Circles for the eyes. And then notice how those eyes have kind of that faint line towards the nose. Lastly, I'm going to move on to those ears. I just see these soft triangles with a slight shape kind of going into the head. I think that's a good place to get started. Grab your pencil, your eraser, and your paper, and let's start drawing together. So notice how when we start with this cat, I'm going to have the paper portrait style because this cat is a lot longer than it is wide. Remember we started with that head first, so I'm going to start with that head and I'm going to have it towards the top of the paper because remember this cat had that really long body. Remember the first shape is the most important shape. It's going to tell you the placement and size of everything. So I want to make sure this shape is really good before I move on. Next I'm going to go on to that body. And I noticed how the body starts here on the head and it starts about there on the head. And as I pull it down, it kind of gets smaller. Notice that? Kind of has a smaller curve at the bottom. Wider here and smaller here. Next I'm going to get in that side leg and that starts almost halfway in. So I'm going to have a big, oh, that might be a little too big, big shape kind of right in here. Maybe it was a little too big. Remember, everyone makes mistakes. I make them all the time. That's why we have our eraser. Then I'm going to move on to those legs. Remember, I have one leg kind of coming out here, and then in here, and then one in here, and one here. Then I'm going to find those ovals for the paws. Notice how they're about the same length. And remember there was another shape right here in the paw. This paw is a little bit higher up. Do you see that? Next I'm going to go into the tail. The tail starts right above that paw and it's in here. Now I'm going to kind of create that curve first and then I know where that line's going to end. Have fun with the tail. It doesn't have to be exactly like the picture. Feel free to change anything. These are just guides. You can add or take away. It's completely up to you. I'm going to move on to that face now. Notice how the cheeks are about right in here. And remember they're touching. So I want that to touch in there. And then the chin and the nose. And then remember I found the eyes first. Circles. And then found that line kind of coming in. Next I'm going to move on to those ears. One is at the side, it's a soft triangle. It kind of goes into the head there. And the other side, same thing, soft triangle, angling out the other way, the slight angle into the head there. Okay, from here, I'm gonna need to start erasing these lines as I wanna see the details and where I go. So now I can see the full cat and have a better idea about what I need to add. So I'm going to first start with erasing some lines. I'm going to erase the line going into the ear here and into the ear here. I'm actually going to soften this line in here. I'm going to soften these lines as well. It's okay to have a little bit of a line, but I don't want a harsh line. You don't see a really harsh line on the head. It kind of slowly goes into the body. And the paws, you don't see these lines inside that leg. You don't see these lines inside this leg. Or here and here. So when I have a good idea of what I'm erasing, I'm going to go in now, and I notice how my body needs to kind of come out a little bit here. I made him a little bit too skinny. And we also see some of the body on the outside of the leg there. I'm going to find my little paws. A little one there. On this guy too. I'm going to adjust that foot a little bit this way. You can kind of change things as you notice them. Nothing's perfect the first time. It takes a couple tries sometimes. So don't get down on yourself. I'm going to have these paws. Kind of goes in there. This tail has a lot of texture in it, so it might be fun to do that. Remember, when you add texture, pull it from the object and pull it out so you get the right direction. And have fun with it. Add as much as you want, as little as you want. This is your picture. I'm going to start getting some detail in the face here. I'm also going to erase these outer edges. I'm going to get kind of these little dots for the whiskers and the nostril. Some details in that nose. The eyes. I'm going to find those pupils and make them look like real cat eyes. So the angle of the outer eye is important. Cats kind of have this really cool angle to their eyes. So the chin has this nice little fuzz on it. You can add the whiskers if you want to. Some light whiskers. But I'm really enjoying this. I finally get a little detail on those ears. You can kind of shade it in if you want to show that it's going inside. And in here. There you go. We have kind of a start. Feel free to color in, keep it as is. But there you go. We have a cat from a photograph. Thank you so much for working with me today.